Hello everyone, we are still on Unit 6 and in this video we'll be discussing international trade, barriers to trade, and some criticisms of international trade. So we have two LEQs in this video. Before we can talk about international trade, we have to talk about a system of currency exchange rates. That is, how is it that America with the American dollar can trade with Mexico that uses the peso? And number two, why do nations erect barriers of trade and against free trade? So we're going to start with talking about a currency exchange rate. So here we go. As you guys know, most countries around the world have their own unit of exchange, their own currency. In the United States, we have the dollar. In Mexico, they have the peso. In India, the rupee. Japan, the yen, so on and so forth. And members of the European Union have the euro. Now, my prediction is that within the next 50 years or so, I think we're going to see more countries do what Europe did and have countries have the same unit of exchange, because honestly, this whole exchange rates thing is just a mess, as you're about to see. So, because of international trade, because of comparative advantage, it's in our best interest to trade with China, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Brazil, England, so on and so forth. But the thing is, though, what do you do? How do you value something if it's not in your nation's currency? For example, a bicycle in England might be valued at 5,000 euros. Okay, cool. That same bicycle in America is valued at $6,000. Well, how do you trade bicycles if that's the case? So that's where an exchange system comes in at. So this is, as of now, these exchange rates, I'm sure they've already changed since this was recorded. They're probably changing right now. Just like the stock market, they change every second, all day, every day, 365. So as of now, $1 American is equal to 0.93 euros. That is, the euro is more valuable than the dollar. Again, as of now, the euro has been more valuable than the dollar for about the past decade or so. Right now, the dollar is more valuable than the Mexican peso or the Indian rupee by a significant amount. So, why are these differences? Why are some currencies more valuable? And you guys can't see it, but I'm quoting the word valuable right now. Why is that the case? Why is there a difference in value? And well, it's because of the forces of supply and demand for international goods and services. So again, supply and demand still applies on an international scale. And this creates a need for a method for converting one nation's currency into another's. Luckily in this class, we are not doing the conversions. We do not have to worry about that. We simply have to be aware of them. We are lucky in the sense that there are businesses that do this for us. They're called foreign exchange markets. Think of them as international banks. You can go to these foreign exchange markets. They oftentimes have them in international airports. For example, if you fly out of MCO, which is the Orlando International Airport, in the terminals, they have a little, I shouldn't say a kiosk, but they have a station there. I think it's called Amex, A-M-E-X, and that's a foreign exchange market where if someone flies in from China into Orlando, they can convert their Chinese yen into American dollars. So these markets deal with the buying and selling foreign currencies for businesses that want to import goods from other countries. All right, guys, so that wraps it up for currency exchange rates. You just need to be aware of it. You need to be aware of the fact that there is a difference in value of currency, and because of that difference in value, which is caused by supply and demand, we have to have foreign exchange markets, which are basically international banks that level everything out. So we are now changing gears, and we are now talking about international trade. Specifically, in this particular video, we are talking about why would some countries not want to trade with others. There are three primary reasons against free trade, and that is job security, national economic security, and protection for emerging industries. So let's look at the first one. So, okay, look guys, because of comparative advantage, in many cases, international trade is the way to go. But there are some people, as of the time of this video, there are elections going on, and if you watch Republican or Democratic debates, these issues often come up. I mean, when you watch people run for governor, these issues often come up. Why shouldn't we trade with this country? Why should we trade with this country? And again, we're focused on three reasons why we shouldn't trade. So one of the arguments against free trade is job security. And this is a very valid point. Again, so some economists, not all, but some argue that domestic, that means American workers will be unemployed if foreign competitors sell goods and services at lower prices than American firms. Guys, this is true. I read an article one time. If the iPhone was manufactured from scratch, that is from land, labor, and capital, all the way up to finished product in America, instead of it being like $600, it would be over $50,000. Now, I read that in an article. I'm not sure if that's entirely true, but it does prove the point that why would we? Yes, it's true. If we were to produce iPhones in America, more Americans would be employed. That is true. But the issue is, what's the opportunity cost? At what cost? Is it better to buy iPhones from China and employ their workers and sell them for $600? Or would it be better to hire American workers and sell them for $50,000? Again, I'm not sure if that number is accurate, but it just makes the example. All right, the second argument against free trade is national economic security. I want you guys to think about the possibility of war here. Some economists argue that certain industries are crucial to the economy of the United States, such as the energy industries. So think about drilling for oil. They argue that these industries should be kept domestically, that means here at home, so that we are not vulnerable to other nations in times of crisis. For instance, most of our oil is imported from the Middle East, namely Saudi Arabia. What would happen if, for political reasons, and I hate to use the example of war, that Saudi Arabia quit importing oil to us? Well, first, the cost of gas would go up, $15 a gallon. Next, we would run out. I think we have several years of reserves, but not enough to last for 5, 10, 15 years. So some people argue that, well, no, we should be mining our own oil to protect us in case of a crisis. And finally, this one is very relevant in the world of technology and renewable energy, and that's called emerging industries. So they're sometimes also called infant industries, baby industries. These are new up-and-coming businesses, new sectors that are developing. The most common example is the renewable energy sector. Think about solar power. So the way it stands right now, China has a comparative advantage in terms of producing solar power. They can produce solar power panels over in China and ship them to America for cheaper than we can make them here. However, our government, and I agree with them, that is actually in America's best interest to protect businesses that are trying to make this product in America, not only for the sake of saving American jobs, but for the sake of ensuring, think about the last example, about oil from Saudi Arabia. And for protecting ourselves in the event we do run out of oil, we have this industry protected. Because right now, it's really the solar power business having a hard time because, yeah, it's true. China can make them for cheaper. It's more expensive and more difficult to make them here in America. But the government is protecting these businesses by giving them loans, giving them money, giving them tax breaks to allow them to succeed. And there are some people who disagree with that. The government shouldn't be giving businesses money. But I'll save that for your government political science class. All right, guys, that's it. So, again, we covered 2 LEQs. The first LEQ we went over very briefly. Why do nations need a system of currency exchange? That is because of international trade. People must have a way of comparing the value of different forms of currency. Again, I did the example of a bike. Well, we can have 2 bikes that are exactly the same. In England, it sells for 5,000 euros. In America, it sells for $6,000. So what do we do there? And that's where the foreign exchange markets come in at to balance everything out. And in this particular video, we focused on why we shouldn't trade, why some think we shouldn't trade with other countries. And those 3 reasons are job security, national economic security, and protection for emergency industries. I appreciate you guys. Everyone take care, and I'll see you all in class.